Are you a civil or a structural engineer and you've been finding it difficult how to place columns in a building and how to prepare a column layout plan? Then this video is for you. Welcome to Delkin's Tech Tutorial YouTube channel. In this channel, we create videos on architectural and civil engineering designs like this. And if that sounds like what you're interested in, then kindly click on the subscribe button and then press the bell icon to get notification on my latest videos. Now, before I get started with this tutorial, I want to wish all my fans and followers a happy new year. I want to say thank you for being part of this family. Thank you for watching my videos and sharing my videos. And I want to say stay tight for another videos and more videos on structural and civil engineering designs like this will be coming your way. And with that being said, let's get started with this tutorial. So on the screen here, I have a floor plan which I made in one of my drawings, and I've uploaded a tutorial on how you can design elevations using this very particular floor plan. And for today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to place columns in a building plan like this, and also how to prepare a column layout plan from a building plan, or from a ground floor plan and a first floor plan, just like this. And to get started with this tutorial, I'm going to go over to the layers tab, and on the layers tab here, I'm going to turn off some of the elements which I don't need. So on the layers here, I will turn off the dimensions, and I'll also turn off the text. I'll also turn off the furnitures which I don't need. So I'm okay with this. Now with this, I'm going to copy this very particular drawing to a new drawing environment. So I will select the entire drawing, that is the ground floor plan and the first floor plan, and I will right click and go to clipboard and select copy with the base point. I can pick any of this point as my base point, and then on the file tab here, I'll click on the plus icon to create a new drawing environment. Then again, I will right click and go to clipboard and select paste, and I can paste this at any point, let's say here. And then here I will click on zoom extend to see the complete drawing. Now as you can see, we cannot see the lines of this very particular wall. So what I'll do is, on the modify tab, I'll click here, and here you have an option to send any object to the back or behind. So down here we have send hatches to the back, so I'm going to select this option, and that will send the hatches to the back of the drawing, and we can then see the lines of this very particular wall. Again, before we get started, I'm going to select some object like this, and I'll right click, go to isolate, and I'll hide this object, and I'll select some of the windows tag and door tags here and have them hidden from this drawing. So I will right click, I will select this windows tag, right click, and go to select similar, and again I will right click, go to isolate and hide object. So when we're done isolating all of this object, we can have a neat drawing like this. The next thing we want to hide is the hatches, so we don't need the hatches in this drawing. So I'll go over to the layers, and where I have the hatch layer, I'm going to turn that off. So I just have the ground floor plan here and the first floor plan of this very particular building plan. So for me to be able to place these columns properly, I'm going to overlap the ground floor plan or the first floor plan on the ground floor plan. And the reason for doing that is because in the process of placing these columns, I don't want the columns from the ground floor plan to land on a particular room on the first floor, neither the columns from the first floor plan landing on the particular room on the ground floor plan. So for us to be able to identify or differentiate between these two plans, I'm going to select the walls of the first floor plan individually, and then I will change the color of these particular walls for the first floor. So after selecting the walls, I'll right click and I'll go to properties, And on the properties here we have the color, so I'll change the color of the walls for the first floor to say yellow, and after that I can close these properties and I'll escape to see the plan. So we have the first floor plan in yellow color and we have the ground floor plan in white color. And we can also select this, or we can just leave this like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll copy the first floor plan. So right click, copy selection, and I will select this as a base point, and then I'll overlap this on the ground floor plan. So we have this. So this is what we're going to have. Now the next thing I'll do is to create grid lines which are going to go through the center of these walls. So to do that, I'll click on the layers and I'll create new layer. I'm going to name that grid and I'll press enter. I'll change the color of this to say green and I'll click on OK, and I can close these layers, and then I'll go over to layers tab and have the grid activated. Now to create the grids, I will make use of the construction line command, and to do that, type XL on the keyboard and press enter, and I'm going to place the vertical construction lines or the grid lines first. So I will type V for vertical, and for me to be able to get this line going through the center of this wall, I will hold the shift key and right click the mouse and select meet between 2 points. So I will have that selected, and I can select these two lines like this to place this on the middle of that wall. So I'm going to repeat the same thing all through and place the vertical grid lines. So when we're done placing the vertical grid lines, we'll also do the same for horizontal grid lines, but we have some grid lines still to place at the bottom or below this drawing here. So we still place these grid lines like this. And so when we're done placing these grid lines, the next is to place the horizontal grid lines. So we escape, and again we type XL for the construction line command and we press enter. This time around we type H for horizontal, and again we make use of the shift key, and we're going to hold the shift key, right click and select meet between 2 points, and we can select the lines of these walls just like this to create the horizontal grid lines. So we're going to repeat the same process all through to create the horizontal grid lines just like this. So again, we are done placing the grid lines both for horizontal and vertical, and before we can continue, I want to have this line trimmed. So I'll offset these grid lines so that I can be able to trim. So I will type O for offset. I'm going to offset by a distance of 3000 millimeters, or let's say 2000 millimeters from where these grid lines are. So I'll offset this outside by 2000, offset this by 2000, offset this by 2000, and also offset this by 2000. And then with this I can be able to trim. So I will type TR for trim, and I will select these lines which are offsetted, and they are going to serve as the cutting edge for this trimming. So I'll press enter, and I will type E for edge, and I'll type select no extend, so I can have all of these lines trimmed out. I'll have this line trimmed out, and I'll trim out these lines just like this. Now when I'm done with this, I can select these lines which are offsetted earlier and erase them out of this drawing. So I have a sketch like this. Now we are going to show where these columns are going to be placed, and for us to do that, I'm going to create another layers for columns. So I'll click on layers properties, and I'll click on new, and I'll type column. So this is the layers for column, and in this case I'll make the color of these say red for the columns, or say yellow, and I'll click on OK, and I'll close this. Also, before we can do that, we have to make use of a do not so that we can signify where the columns are going to be placed. So again, go to layers properties and click on new, and then I'm going to create a new layer called donut, and press enter. And for the donut, I'm going to make use of a red color for the donut, and I'll click OK, and I'll click close to create that layers properties window. Now on the layers tab, I will switch over to the layers that has the donut, and then I'll make use of the donut command. So type do for donut and press enter. And for the inside diameter, I'll make use of 400, and for outside diameter, I'll make use of 500 and press enter. And then at the point where I want columns to be placed, I'm going to click and create a donut at each of those individual points. Then later on, I can then move this or I can then hide the drawings, and then I will select the layout and then create the layout column layout plan. So at this point, I'm going to click to create a donut because I want a column at that point. Also at this point, I'm going to click to create a donut because I want a column there. At this point also, where these grid lines intersect, I'll click to create a donut. Also at this point, I'll click to create a donut. At this point also, I'll click to create a donut. Now the donut at this point, I don't want to have it, so I'll just have this one deleted, and then I'll repeat the donut command, and I can go ahead and place others at other position. So also here, I want to place a column at this point, so I'll click where the grid lines intersect. I also want to place another column here, so I'll click where these grid lines intersect. And then also I want to place a column at this point, so I'll click where the grid lines intersect, and where we have the stair, also click here to create a donut because I want to place a column later on at those positions. Again, down here we have where the staircase is, so I can also click to create a donut. And also here is the edge of the building, so I'll click to create a donut because I want a column at that point. So if you observe, I'm creating the donut where the first floor plan and the ground floor plan overlap, so as we can have a direct column coming from the ground floor plan straight to the first floor plan. So also here we have a column at this point, so we can click to create that column. And then here also we want a column, so we click to create a donut. And then here also we need a column at this point. Here we need a column at this point. We also need a column at this point, and here we need a column as well. Here we need a column. We need a column at this point. This is not properly placed, so that we can erase this. So we repeat donut command, and then we can place this donut properly. And also here we need to place a column, so although there is a window here, so in the course of construction that can be adjusted. So we want a column to be placed at this point, but there is no grid lines here, so we're going to select this grid line and we right click, copy selection. We can select this point as copy position, and then hold shift, right click, mid between 2 points. We can then select these 2 points and copy to that position. Then we repeat our donut command and we enter, and we can create a donut at this point because we want a column to be placed in that position. We also want to place a column at this position. We also want a column at this position. Also here we have a column. Here we also have another column to be placed at this position. Also here we want to place a column where we have that wall, and also we want to place another column at this position. So these columns are placed such that they are the position where the ground floor and the first floor walls are overlapped. So here also we have a column, and then where again can we place a column here? Okay, let's consider that these are the columns we can place for now. So after placing these columns using donut, we're going to go over to the layers, and then we will turn off some of these layers. The beams, we'll turn off the windows, we'll turn off the doors, we'll turn off the walls and we'll turn off the staircase. So we now have a clean layout of the columns. So we can move this from this position to this place. Now when we have this, I want to copy this entire layout, so I will right click and select copy selection, and I can copy from this position directly to this point and then escape. So this is the layout of the column, but then we have not placed our column yet. So for us to be able to place a columns, we have to offset each of these lines so that we can have a boundary where we add our hatches. So we type offset command and we press enter. Now the thickness of this wall is 225, so we're going to offset to both sides by 1.112.5 millimeters, and we press enter. So we're going to zoom, and then we can offset each of these grid lines to the left and to the right, just like this. Again, we'll offset the horizontal grid lines as well. So when we're done offsetting, we can then move the center grid line so that we can have a clear boundary where we can be able to apply the hatch for these very particular columns. So I'm going to select all the grid lines or the center lines of each of these. So I'm going to go over and carefully select all these middle lines for this and then move them to a different position. So you just watch carefully as I do this. So after selecting all the center grid lines, we can then right click and go to move. We're going to move the grid lines completely to a different position. Then we can be able to apply the hatch. So we're going to specify this point as the point where we're going to move, and we can move these grid lines, you know, horizontally to a different position like this. So after this, we can then see that we have boundaries where we can be able to apply the hatch. So over to the layers tab, I will activate the layers that has a column, and from here I can be able to apply the hatches. So I will type H for hatch command so that I can be able to create the hatch. And on the hatch options here, I will select create separate hatches so that we can create separate hatches. So we have this selected, and then we can create hatches individually like this. So with the help of this donut, we have been able to create hatches showing the position of where the columns will be placed in this very particular drawing. So we can then select this donut which we created earlier and then have it deleted because we don't need it anymore. So right click, select similar, and then we can then erase this out of this drawing. The next we are going to move the center grid lines back to where we have it. So we can select these lines that we offsetted earlier. It is not longer needed again, so we just have it selected like this, and we can erase it. So again, we go back to the grid lines and we copy, or we can move this. So right click, go to move, and we can select this point as the base point, and then making use of these lines as our reference, we're going to hold shift key, right click, meet between 2 points. We're going to select this and this point, and then we have it placed. Then we can erase these lines because we don't need them again. So this becomes our column layout plan like this. So I want to delete some of these lines because they are not having column placed in it. So we can just carefully check some of the lines, the grid lines which we created, and they are not having columns. So I think that is the only line. So we have the column layout like this, and we can also erase this line because it's not longer needed. Then we go back to our layers and we can turn on some of the layers which we turn off. Let's turn this off once again, and we can move this column layout to a different position. So type M for move command, and we can move this to say this position. Then go back to layers and turn on the layers for floor plan, turn on the beams, turn on the doors, turn on let's turn on stairs, turn on windows, and then we have this. So with this we can erase this very particular first floor, which is not longer needed. Remember, we have on this plan we have the first floor and the ground floor overlap. So the next thing I want to do is I want to move this column layout plan and have it overlapped on this again and see how this looked like. So we can move it a bit closer and then we can then copy. So we again select this layout and then we're going to copy this. So right click, copy selection, and we can select, say, this point as the point where we copy. And remember, this is going to move on orthogonal selection so that it moves horizontally. So we can zoom and make sure this is placed orthogonal. So I'm going to turn on orthogonal mode from here so that this moves horizontally. So we have it placed somewhere here. Again, we're going to hold the shift key, right click, meet between 2 points, and we can select this line and this line to have this column placed. We can then escape and then go to zoom extend. So if you view this plan carefully, you can see where our columns are placed. So we have a column here, we have a column here, we have a column here, we also have a column at each of these points. So these are where the columns are placed in our drawing. And like I told you, here we have a window, so this window is going to be adjusted so that we can have that column placed at that point. So this is how you can carefully place the columns in a floor plan. Remember, I have overlapped the first floor plan and the ground floor plan so that we can have a perfect placement of these columns. So now we have the column layout plan here. So I'm going to edit this and call this column layout plan. So double click to edit. I will call this column layout plan. So this is column layout and I'll press enter. So we have the column layout here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to create grid lines or to create the grid labels. So to do that, I can switch over to let's say call this axis balloon. So we create another layers and we call this axis balloon. So we type axis balloon and we press enter to create this, and we can change the color of this from say to cyan or to blue. Let's make use of blue and click on OK, and we can close this. Now before we do that, I want to change the color of these grid lines to white. So on where we have the grid lines, I'll change this from green to a white color and I'll click on OK. And then I'll also go to layers, and instead of having a straight line, I'll also change the grid lines from continuous line to a dashed line. So click on that and I'll select load and I'll also search for center line. So just down here I have a center line, I'll have it selected and click on OK, and then select this and click on OK. So now we have the grid lines at center line. We can close this. Now if you observe, this is not actually showing, so we're going to select all these grid lines again and then go to properties, right click, go to properties, and we will increase the line type from, let's say, from 1 to 20. I will press enter and see what we have. We can again increase this to 30 and we're going to have this, and let's see what we have. So we can see that we have the grid lines like this. I think this look much more better. So this is the grid lines and these are the columns in this particular building plan. Now the next thing is to create the axis balloon. So to do that, I will switch over to the layers that has axis balloon, and then I'll select the circle command and I'll draw a circle of say diameter 500 and I'll press enter. And then the next thing is to type empty for text and I'll press enter. I can specify any point, and on the vertical axis I'm going to have them as alphabet, and then on the horizontal axis I'm going to have them as numbers. So I will type A and then I will select these, and here I'm going to change the text size to say 500 and I'll press enter and press enter twice. Then I will move this, so right click, move, and I'll specify any point. I can move this to the center. So let's turn off orthogonal. So orthogonal is still on, so I can place this like this. So after placing this, I can copy and right click, copy selection. So I'll move this from the quadrant, and in case you don't have this quadrant show, you can come over to where you have the snap and you have the quadrant option here. Make sure it is checked, and if that is not checked, you cannot make use of it. So we can copy from this and we can move it to this point, have it placed here, have it placed here, have it placed here. We place it like this all through. And after that, we can then double click to edit the text. So here will be B, and I'll press enter. Here will be C, then here we're going to edit this, and this will be I rather, and then we press enter. Now we have this, we're going to copy this from the top to the bottom. So we have all of this copied, and then we right click, copy selection, and we're going to select the quadrant at the top. We can then copy this directly to the bottom, just like this. Now this is for the vertical grid lines. The next thing is to create the axis balloon for the horizontal grid line. So I'm going to copy this, right click, copy selection, select at this point, and I'll copy to this point, copy to this point. So this is for the horizontal, and I'm going to edit this to numbers. So here is going to be 1, and here is 9. We press enter, and then we can copy from the left of this to the right of this. So we right click and go to copy selection. We can select this point and then copy this to this very particular point, just like this. So we have the axis balloon created for this very particular column layout. Let's move this. So move, and we can move this to somewhere like this. The next thing I want to do is to create the dimensions. So I'm going to go over to layers again, and I'll create new layers. I'm going to name this dimension or dim, and then I'll change the color of something, let's say yellow, or let's go for a blue color, and click on OK. And then I can create, close the what we have, the axis layers properties, and then I will change over to dimension, and then I'm going to go to dimension. Now I have not set my dimension, so this is going to be another challenge. So I'll click to create dimensions. As you can see, the dimensions are not visible. So to create the dimensions or to edit dimension, I'll type D and press enter, and then I can modify, select standard, modify. And on the lines here, I'm going to set this by block. This is going to be by block. All of this will be set to be by block, by block, by block, by block, and this is going to be by block, by layer rather. And I'll change this to 100. I'm going to change this to 100. I'll assign a fixed dimension line, and then on the symbols here, I want to make use of architectural tick, and for arrow size, I'll make this 100. For center mark, I want to make this 90, and on the text, I want to select text color to be by layers, and for text height, this is going to be 100. And I want to make use of align with dimension lines. So also base offset from dimension lines, I'm going to use 90. And then for the fit, I'm going to make use of 2. And for primary unit, I will set this precision to 0. And I think that's all for now. We can click on OK, select standard, set current, click on close. And let's try to see if we can get a good dimension from here again. So let's click to create dimensions. Okay, we have the dimensions created like this. Now I want to change the color of this dimension to something that is much brighter and visible. So I'm going to make use of yellow and click on OK. So we have the dimensions like this. On the annotation tab, I'm going to select continuous dimension, so I can create a continuous dimension. So I have the dimensions to be created where the columns are just like this, over here and over here. So I'll click and I'll press enter. So I have that dimension created. Also down here, I'll again create the dimensions from here. So from here to this point, I have dimensions from here to here, and that will be here. Again, select continuous. I'll create another dimension here to this point, to this point, and to this point, like this, and to this point. So we have the dimensions placed for this, and the next dimension we're going to place is that of the horizontal grid lines. So again, we repeat dimensions, and from here we can start dimensioning like this. So we have dimension, and we can move this. So move this to this particular point, and we select continuous, so we can create dimensions like this. So we have another dimension here, and we have another dimension here, and the last one is going to be here. And then on this other side also, we can select dimension. We can start creating our dimension from this very particular point to this point. That's where we have the columns. So we place a dimension, select continuous, we have the next column at this point, and then we can extend this dimension to this point, and we press enter. So these okay, we still have this portion up where we're supposed to create a dimension. So we click to create a dimension like this, so we have it placed here. So okay, this is how you can create a column layout plan in AutoCAD. So I hope you like this video, and please do subscribe, share to your friends, and in the next tutorial I'm going to show you how to prepare or how to detail a slab in AutoCAD. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.